Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 6. I think it's episode 5. Peacock messed me up because of how they are actually compacting episodes, but they're putting the episodes along with the Watch What Happens Live tapings on there, and I have no clue as to why they are doing that. But that is annoying. So I believe this is episode 5. It's telling me episode 10, but I think it's 5. But anyways, I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. I appreciate you for subscribing. You are all welcome to do that. And you can leave your comments below. And now I have to get out some frustrations as to now this crazy cast is making me defend Lisa Barlow. Let's get into this episode. Alright, so we start off with Angie and Heather. They're making their own coffee the way that they do it, da-da-da-da-da. They get on the phone. I don't know who called whom, but they're on the phone. Heather was like, how are things going? How are things going between you and Mary? She said, I don't know at this moment. Right now, I'm ready for any of the hard conversations that maybe me and her have to handle, da-da-da-da-da. She says that, my behavior was out of whack, and I'm actually one that feels guilty about the way that she behaves, but I don't think everyone does that. Basically talking about Lisa. Ma'am, you've been doing that, and you've been acting erratic since you got on the show. And I guess you're a hothead and Greek person, but because of how people have crowned you the fan favorite, and other people, for whatever reason, don't really call you out for stuff, nobody really checks you. But this season we're seeing this ridiculousness because all of this you knew was coming out last episode. You knew Meredith was going to call you out as she told you because she said that she was going to talk to Lisa. You started whatever was going to transpire that day, and you were ready because you brought props. That's why I don't really give you that much leeway. And now you're talking about you were bullied. All we have been witnessing, the reason I was like that, I was fighting for us all. I was protective of us all. Because there's been reoccurring events of takedowns. I guess administered by Lisa. Is Lisa an itch? Yes, she is. Does Lisa end up saying what she knows about y'all? Yes. But y'all do it too. And now y'all trying to act like she's just the mastermind in bringing people down. Who has she brought down? Y'all still here live and kicking. The only person that's really been brought down on this show is Shawshank, and that's of her own doing, and Time Card. Heather did that. She tried to do it. Now, Lisa did try to do that to Mary. But Whitney, you did that too. So next week I'm going to clock your redhead in regards to red bobblehead. That's what I'll call you. Next week, because it's like you were a part of that crap too. We'll get on that. But yeah, Heather was like, I don't need Lisa to be perfect. I just need her to admit her faults. Okay. And I guess the only thing that's really, I don't know what it is. Lisa said something about this suit guy, but that's been like episodes ago. Where have you been, Heather? Why haven't you shown up to talk to Lisa all this time? I feel like with Heather is that she strategizes for the season and how she feels that the season needs to go. Anyways, we move on to Bronwyn and Todd. Bronwyn and Todd, they are meeting at an ice cream parlor, and they get their sundaes and sit down. Bronwyn loves maraschino cherries. However, what happens is that Bronwyn saves them to the last because she wants to eat those and savor them. But Todd will steal them. Well, Todd did it today, and that was irking Bronwyn in regards to that. Cute little fun, quirky type scene, and then we get down to other business. We found out that Todd visited his parents in New York. I didn't know his parents were still alive. Anyways, did she say anything? Oh, Bronwyn talks a little bit about what happened in the last episode, the last gathering, and she said, I was there, I didn't raise my voice. I was a good girl to you, Todd. Basically what I was getting from her. But anyways, she says is when Lisa and Angie were going at each other, she said, I found myself agreeing a lot with Angie. When Lisa digging into people's lives, she dug into you about a piece of jewelry. That is some petty stuff. I mean, if it's something incriminating in trying to change someone's reality, I might agree with y'all, but y'all just are so weird. Even though Whitney, which I believe was a lie about her flop business now, and I believe that actually her stuff was fake. Because how in the world did you have $5,000 in debt for a company that you said was so booming? It just went up and then down as soon as you opened the business. So obviously you didn't have any type of faithful customers. You may have just sold something once and you act like you were really doing a surplus. Or you thought that because you were on, let me stop, because I'll go on about her, because I can't stand that girl. Todd does congratulate her dryly and says congratulations and thank you for being a good girl. I'll say that because of their age difference and how Todd does talk. He talks a little bit more patronally to her than a mate, in my opinion, sometimes. Then she tells him about the psychic and about, making things right with her mother. He doesn't really get into all that psychic crap, and I'm saying crap, and he didn't really say crap, but I'm saying it for dramatic purposes. He is more like... Bronwyn feels away because she wants Todd to support her in this and feel it. And he's like, he's not feeling it. And Bronwyn, I don't think that you are understanding that he feels a certain way towards your parents. And I'm sure because of how they treat you. But you want him to be supportive and you trying to make amends with a woman that's probably not going to make amends with you. And I understand the longing of wanting your mother to love you and to embrace you, but I don't think that is in her. You're having talks right then and there, and she's still finding ways to throw darts at you because of the choices that you made in life 20 plus years ago. So I'm not going to act like Todd is the villain in this particular situation. That's just mine. Todd was like, it looks like it was just a 50-50 guess for him in the accuracy of what he was saying towards you about your mother and stuff. But Bronwyn says, I know that Todd is less emotional and I'm more emotional, and I just need him to meet me when I am emotional. And maybe he could have supported you, but I think that Todd is more of a realist in a lot of things, and he's not that half full glass type dude, or it's about half empty, like, dude, ma'am, no. And plus, it's been so many years, I'm sure that you've tried to make a retribution and reconciliation with this woman, and it's not going to work. Lisa and John. Lisa decides, I'm going to get vulnerable, but I'm going to be vulnerable when I feel like it, in the way that I want to be vulnerable with. And so Lisa and John, they sit down. She's packing for her trip. She said, this is going to be a 3-day trip, but I'm used to 7 to 10-day trips. Oh, my Lord. In some type of way, Lisa's going to make it be known of how glamorous her life is and just be elitist. In a way, I'm cool with it. In a way, it just gets to a point like, because I'm on a show I'm trying to watch a show that is more fantasy. Even though it is reality, I need to more fantasize about your life than trying to relate to you all the time on certain things. There's no way. We're humans and we go through life experiences in some type of way we can connect with them. But you shouldn't be able to buy the same things that I'm buying. I shouldn't be able to afford the same things that you are purchasing, in my opinion. So anyway, she talks about the psychic and what he was saying about our not able to connect and communicate and all that. There are times where we just don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And there's a lot of times I don't come to you. I go and talk to my dad before I even come to my house because you aren't really getting me. I don't know if she said it to him or whatever, but we heard it in the confessional. I can't remember how it was. I thought, well, that's interesting. But what I will say is, at least in the public, Lisa does defend and guard her husband. And I think that that's a great thing. We're still a team, even if I think that you are a jerk. Now, I just don't think that you should take any mistreatment from your spouses, wife or husband. But, at least she's not going to act a fool on him in public. And a lot of times when you're speaking to me, as Lisa's talking, I need you to treat me like glass. I know I could be quite strong and all of that, but when you talk to me, sometimes I can really shatter, and I need you to get that. That helps me to understand a little bit more of Lisa, and when she just starts crying, even though it seems like a manipulative tactic, and I'm not ruling that out, it's still on the table. Maybe some of that is that she is a real sensitive person, and that's why she cries. Again, I can't say that she does that every time, and I'm not taking off the table that she could be manipulative. But if there's another option on the table. if you choose to use it. Yeah, but John doesn't get that. Mary and Angie. Angie answers the door. Mary was like, oh, I'm glad that you answered the door because normally I have to just come in myself. Angie's trying to offer drinks and food and stuff. And Mary's like, let's get to the bottom of this. We don't need all this courtesy stuff. Basically. It was a little bit uncomfortable at times. Angie says, let me start off by saying I apologize. Angie was saying, I feel like I'm in the principal's office. And she talks about her behavior there, but she said that she was reacting more because I was being bullied. And Mary was like, well, you're becoming a bully, but how you're actually behaving. We're supposed to have a sisterhood, and when we're even talking about a sisterhood, I can't even talk you down. Even when you're having a rough moment, you come back at me to attack me. That's not good. You're not a sister. And Andrew was like, yes, I am. No, you're not. Not like that. When you get to these places, you become this person that I don't even know. Then they start talking about you made fun of my farts. That was kind of comedic moment. And it's dog fart versus Mary's fart. Crazy. From the stuff that I've been through, Mary says, I've had to live my life with a guard up. It's only like every 20 years I'm able to let that down, to let someone in to my life because of all the stuff that I've had to deal with. And you're that person that I've let my guard down, and I don't need this flip-flop stuff. And she says, what did she say? She said that I will, basically in essence, like, I will forget all about you. I will cut you off, and that's that. If you end up being this person that I can't really deal with, I will cut you off. And that's such an Aquarius thing to do, because it's just like, it's something where I won't even know that you exist. And that's just it. We cut off our feelings. Once we let you in, and then you show your tail, because it's a privilege that we let you in. And once I'm done with you, you're done. You're out for good. You'll be thrown in the sea of forgetfulness. I forgot the saying, but of what she said last night. But yeah, I understand that. Anyways, they make up and all that good stuff. Angie was trying to soften the blow. Mary's like, look, no, I'm not here to cry. And because it got sentimental, I'm here to tell you all. That's the type of friend I like that. They were going to be cool, but I know Mary was dead serious. Like, don't play with me. If we're friends, we're friends. If we're not, then that's just that. Heather and Lisa, they go shopping someplace. She's never been there. Lisa's like, they're talking about the yacht and being on there. Lisa was like, is there any requests that I could have? She was like, yes, you can. Can I bring my glam? And she was like, no. And of course, Lisa brings her glam everywhere. Then she starts shading Angie because they start talking about who's all going to be there. Of course, everybody's going to be there. I don't even know why that was anything brought up, but that was just a way for Lisa to now shade her. She's like, oh, I know this is great for Angie because I know she's never been on the yacht. And Heather said that we're not going to haze each other. Well, that's not even the word, but whatever, as far as I know. Well, Angie's just being such a mean itch. And then Heather was like, well, you could be a mean itch too. And then Heather said, Lisa was asking Heather, so what did I do wrong in your eyes? You just really go low sometimes with her. Well, Angie goes low. That's what she said. And then you brought up the whole suit guy. They said, no, he's a suit guy. Now, somebody said that Lisa was just lying and just making stuff up. But I didn't hear that. But correct me if Lisa admitted to lying about that. Cool. Of course, as Heather's trying to bring her into accountability for the things, Lisa's just like, well, Angie does this stuff. Stuff really started up because of you. You the one brought back the bone. Really, Lisa, you need to just blame Angie for the whole thing because there was no reason for Angie to bring up about she's just like Shawshank. I think that was just crazy. But Heather was like, you need to see your ways and not do those things. And Lisa was like, look, all I'm saying from Angie, don't talk about me, and I'm not going to talk about her. She starts crying, and that's the part where people are like, oh, she's being manipulative. I don't know. Heather says, you're a risky friend. I think she said this in the confessional, but she may have said it to her face. And and Lisa's like, what do you want me to do? She said, you either clear this up or change. Or this whole situation that goes on and the bickering and stuff, it will never change. So all the fault is on Lisa now. Even though you started the chain of events to make all this crap happen during the season. Okay, I understand accountability. I don't even remember your accountability towards Angie. Not too much, but it's just like it's Lisa's fault. I'm sorry, but these girls have been coming at Lisa a lot. A lot. I don't care that Lisa's being questioned about all these lawsuits that are coming out. Da 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 da. Do it. But it's just like y'all find a reason to do it. And I just don't think that Lisa is at fault at all this. I feel like this is a social media type of pile on. You see that people don't really want to deal with Lisa and you want to bring her down a peg or two for social media. That's my opinion. But y'all can tell me what you think. Brittany and Olivia. All I can say is Olivia is the MVP of this whole conversation. They go meet someplace, da 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 da. Brittany says in her confessional, like, you know, that psychic reading really hit home. It was literally prophetic. Man, psychic and prophetic does not mix. Don't do that again. Don't say that again. There's two different systems operating as far as what is prophetic and what comes from the psychic realm, which is more of a familiar spirit than it is from the Spirit of God. So she's going to step back from her relationship and try to give this relationship with her daughter another chance. They sit down and meet, da 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 da. We get a little background. Brittany's trying to tell this story about how Olivia was cutting up at 4 at a coffee shop where Olivia was demanding a steamer. And then she was like, oh, people were looking at me as me being a bad mom because I was possibly feeding my child coffee, da 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 da. Olivia doesn't remember that. But she does remember. They talk about, you know, we met here before. And we were supposed to go back to your home, which we did. But you called Jared to come over. When we got there, you started making out with Jared and you forgot all about me when we were supposed to spend time together. I didn't know that about it. I can't recall, but you recall some type of dumb steamer that probably wasn't even the truth, but you want to act like it was just so cutesy and you're just really into your daughters. The problems really happened. Well, Brittany says that she got married a second time because after she got her divorce, it was really hard. And she was trying to rebuild the same family that had already existed from her first marriage. Eventually, the two daughters went to go live with their father. That is quite crazy. And I would love for that to be really delved into more, because what was going on, Brittany, that you as a mother could not raise your children anymore and they went to go be with their dad. And I really think that there are some things that went on that maybe we'll get into or not. However, it looks like they were really mishandled and mistreated. She said, you know, I'm glad this time you, I guess, want to get to know me because I want you to get to know me. The first time we met here. Okay, already did that. She says, you know, my mom was the person that was present, and then all of a sudden this switch flipped, and then she just became the parent that we try to beg for attention. Brittany wants another chance and all that, and Olivia's like, my worst fear is that you're going to do this again. And then she said, for a while, I felt like it was me. Like I did something where you didn't want me and all that. And then Brittany's like, oh no. Brittany, you need intense therapy. You need, something happened. Something happened. Maybe as they go down the road, we'll find out a little bit more. But something happened in this second marriage. Ooh. So I'm glad for Olivia keeping it real to her mother and also in the confessional. We ain't buying this BS. Even when you get on interviews now, you're acting like, why can't I have both? And really the whole conversation here was like, I'm not changing. I want Jared. And that's just that. Like, it feels like they've had the conversation before and all that, and this is where we're at. Meredith and Heather, they meet up. They talk about Lisa. You know, with Lisa, you know, I want to defend her, but I don't want to be a fool either. But you've been a fool for a very long time because you've always wanted to be the Gretchen Wiener of Regina George. And you're there now. But she is one that just like digs up stuff. That's just tracking or whatever. Why did you let Lisa off the hook the other day? And Meredith is just like, well, I haven't really had anything concrete to really come up, blah, 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 blah. You know, before she's already apologized to me about how she's acted before in the past. And Heather was like, that's because she got caught and couldn't deflect, da, 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 da. What if she didn't do it? Meredith said, as far as talking to Angie about going after them. Again, y'all's thesis is Lisa does things when she's mad at someone. She's not mad at Meredith. So where is it? Heather believes Angie, but Meredith says that I don't really have a great track record with Angie. So until you give me something concrete evidence, then I'm sticking with whatever. And Heather said, well, why aren't you taking into consideration of when she said the Shawshank and you, Heather, were Barbie scissor kicks? Basically, y'all were gay together. Heather says, I believe she did that to you. Basically, my thing is I need for Lisa to say that she's sorry. Okay. I think that she has not liked Lisa since she made that elitist comment, and that's just that. Later on, Angie, Whitney, and Mary, they meet up. They talk about the preference sheets for the yacht. They talk about who's the bougiest of them all. Mary, who's very particular as to what she wants. And we get flashbacks of that. Brown, there's articles now about Brown, about identity theft. And has anyone reached out to her? No. But you can see Angie and Whitney. They're all, we finally got another storyline that we can really go in on. But it's Lisa that's doing all this crap. Okay. So we get another conversation with Bronwyn and Todd. Bronwyn in her confessional was talking about there was an eviction notice when she left college that she paid up. That later on that she had, that they basically collections basically wanted to get their money. In the news, they're talking about recent things that happened, that was allegedly happened over about a year and a half ago. But she said, no, this stuff was almost 10 years ago. The case was dismissed and sealed. And there's things I can't really talk about. Brown, you can't do that. There's no way that you were the leader of the pack to start talking about Lisa's ish. And now you're like, I can't talk about that. That's bull. Now, whether that's true or not, I would not have been the one that was leading the pack. When you know that you got something in the past, I do understand that you thought that this was sealed. Somehow it came out. And she was also apologizing to Todd, I know this is coming up and this could really impact a lot of people and you have to look a certain way in front of all of your clients and da-da-da-da-da. And Todd was like, yeah, da-da-da-da-da. And then he's like, well, why are you going on this trip? You're going to be around Lisa. There's nothing that would give me to want to be around Lisa. I wouldn't piss on Lisa if her brain was on fire. I said, oh, okay. So all evidence is leading up to it being Lisa that has started all these rumors that are true. I don't get that. I don't get that whatsoever. That feels like deflection. Brown, you have been owning things. Own whatever is your past. And why is it Lisa's problem? Why can't it? You're on Housewives. People are going to be looking into your lives. And do you know what really gave people the ammunition to want to look into your life is after this whole necklace thing. They're like, well, what else are you lying about? And they dug and dug and dug and got it. And now you're exposed. So I don't think you can just blame Lisa for everything. But next week's going to be a mess. All because of these jokers that are saying what Lisa's doing is what they're doing. I'm sorry. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this episode, about how the stories are going. Do you blame Lisa for everything? Do you see any faults in anyone else? Is Angie being bullied? Is Heather being fair and calling and being accountable? Or trying to make Lisa accountable? Or is she being strategic? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and until the next one, peace.